Hello everybody, my name is EJ and I am 8 years old. What I learned from SEP is that you want to build each other up and know each other more. I just want to thank you for the scholarship, NewLife. You can also teach about God in SEP who people do not think that God is real. My favorite part was in the morning when a spider crawled up my shoulder, then my neck, and then went inside my t-shirt. I was freaking out. A friend named Roman in my dorm killed it. It was scary.
Wow, nice.
Another favorite part was archery, air control trucks, typing, and the water slide. It was all fun. The funniest part was building each other up. I like the way how we learn each other and get to learn how much we know. Thank you, counselors who got all the way from Australia here. Ozzy, Ozzy, Ozzy.
Oi, oi, oi!
I can't hear you.
Oi, oi, oi!
Ozzy, Ozzy, Ozzy.
Oi, oi, oi! Okay, campers and stuff. You don't want me to give a long sermon, so.
Sure, why not? So, I'm not super prepared because I was really tired yesterday. But basically, this is my 4th year on staff. I'm Holly, by the way, for those that don't know me. And when I was applying this year, I just had that little tug feeling that God was saying, do the thing that you don't want to do. And I was like, don't make me. I've been kind of terrified to be a lead counselor for a really long time. I feel like EJ, I need a chair. And so anyway, Anne asked me to be a lead counselor. And I was like, oh, okay. And all building up to camp, I was just so scared. And but when I got there, and also there was a lot of things going on in like my personal life and just a lot of hard stuff these past few months. And so I was just like, I'm too tired, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to do the debrief times, I just can't handle it. But I really knew it was one of those times God was telling me to do it, so what can you do? So when I actually got there, this entire week, it was crazy because it was one of the most peaceful times for me, even with everything going on and everything unresolved and all this stuff. And I would wake up in the morning, totally easy, not a struggle, just get up, easy, wake up the girls, when normally mornings for me are not my favorite thing. And then in the dorm itself, there was actually a lot of conflict. And, but even through all the conflict, it just felt like there was just this grace on me to be able to just not worry. And it was fine. And it was like, let's just deal with this. We got this, you know. And we talked to the girls about if somebody was making false accusations against you, you know, just take it. Like, it's okay. You can say you're sorry, even if you don't feel like you did anything wrong. And a lot of times you just have to work with each other and be willing to like give up things and be a hero, you know. And so we had such a long talk with a few of the girls, and it just didn't seem like it was really getting anywhere. And it was kind of like, I don't know where to go from here. And then the next day, that was like near nighttime. The next day, we went and had our chapel and then our debrief time. And for debrief, we went from station to station, 4 different stations. And at each of the different stations that day, all of the topic was about being able to take things and say you're sorry when you don't need to. It was just perfectly on topic, and it was amazing. We talked about the Beatitudes, and it literally said, like, you know, blessed are you when you are insulted. Blessed are you when you are wrongly accused, you know, and all these different things. And I was like, hey, ladies, you know, and after that, it was like, it got so much better, and it was really cool. So, yeah, and then one more thing. The first day of camp, we had, usually we have chapel like all together as a camp, and we started worship, and all of the junior camp just like zoomed to the front and started dancing. And normally it takes at least like Monday for that to happen, but it happened on Sunday night. And also a lot of the senior camp came forward too, and it just made me so happy because worship dancing is like my favorite thing in the world. So to be able to do that with everyone, it just gave me so much like, this is great. So anyway, camp was wonderful.
Hello. So I did not stay for the entire duration of camp because of an incident that happened, but before I go into that, I will go into the positives of camp. Okay? Positives of camp. Not like dorm members. No. Okay. And then also challenging Mike Jacob to a dance battle, which was fun. Okay, but I like bowing. Okay.
Stick with the positive.
Yeah. Also seeing my friends, which I did not get to see for a while, and sort of getting to see a different side of people that I did not know of before. So it's like, if you ever get the feeling, it's like not like meeting someone new, but like meeting someone for the first time. So, peace.
Hi, my name is Matthew. I hope you guys know me. I've been here for a few times. But, it's my first time joining SEP because you guys pushed me, especially Yan, you know. It was like, oh, bro, you know, man. I was like, oh man, this is getting annoying. And I was like, is it really fun? And I was like, and everybody's hyping me up. And I was like, yeah, it's like, it's a change of your life. And then suddenly when I was there, stuff happens, you know? Like, the first time you get to be a counselor, you feel like, oh man, I feel like I'm a big boy now. I get to teach kids. I get to shout at them like, hey, come on, fall in line, pray. If you don't pray, you're gonna have push-ups. Yeah, it was kind of frustrating sometimes. They're like, no, not frustrating. It's kind of sometimes it's stressful. There's one time at camp that the kids will get you really mad because they sometimes try you, like try to be disrespectful, and then when they feel like, oh, something's gonna go with this guy, so they just become the sweetest person in the world. They're like, oh, counselor, we love you, counselor. And I was like, fine. I love you guys too. It's an experience. I love the experience. Stuff happens. I was in charge of the RC trucks and all that stuff. I wasn't expecting that because I'm a new guy. So I was expecting that. I was like, oh yeah, I'm a new guy. I would be expecting like less stuff to do. But suddenly, I actually didn't went in the counselor training and all that stuff because of that stuff and all that stuff. So, but it was really awesome. It was really awesome. You can't explain how awesome it is. The spirit was there. The kids are just sometimes the naughtiest kids on your dorm are actually the ones that would surprise you, because one time they would do something bad and they're always the quote unquote bully and all that stuff, but in the end they make sense sometimes. They just spout out words that make sense, that actually connects to God, and then do these things. So what I learned is that not all bad kids are bad kids. So most of them are broken. So I really wanted to pray for them. And then, you know, to be honest, I didn't really know how to pray that much. But because of me being a counselor and I want to be an example to the kids, I have to pray. I have to pray for them. Okay, I have to remember them. Okay, guys, time to wake up. Time to pray. Time to pray. Time to pray. Pray. So, yeah, because of that, I was able to pray 3 times a day and more. And then, on and on. Okay, thanks.
Hi, my name is Princess, but they call me Aniel. Yeah, it was a great experience, and campers are taller than me. Yeah, it's a really life-changing. Shout out to my mom and my dad. Yeah, they're so cute. There's a little girl. Her name is Yum Yum. She's really cute. I just wanted to take her home. You know, I really have nothing to say, but yeah.
Hey, Robbie.
Hi. Okay, so I was designated as lead counselor this year. John was my assistant counselor. Didn't feel like an assistant counselor, but he had my back all the way. Bobby was in my dorm, and John was in my dorm as well. So I had the pleasure of having two new life members being in my dorm, which was really, really cool. Bobby brought so much life to our dorm. He gave so much excitement. John just gave us he gave the dorm so much. He was like another assistant counselor. He was able to give calmness, and he was able to provide a lot of deep insight into things. So which I really appreciate you guys doing. And so what I learned the most was probably the purity session. So for those who don't know about the purity session involves the guys and the girls being separated, where they're able to learn more about God and what God is calling them to do, as for boys, knights of the king; for girls, daughters of the king. And we went. So for the guys, I can't say for what happened with the girls, not totally sure. But for the guys, we had stations. So one of the stations involved creating a shield. So this shield was to represent how are we supposed to, well, for me it is, how do we defend ourselves from the evil one, the firing darts. Our verse, Ephesians 6:10-18, was our theme, and I'll sort of read it to you now just so you have an idea. It talks about the whole armor of God. So it says this: so finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand the evil in the evil day, and have done all to stand firm. Stand therefore, having fastened on the belt of truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and as shoes for your feet, having put on the readiness given by the gospel of peace. In all circumstances, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming darts of the evil one, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying at all times in the Spirit, with all prayer and supplication. So we had to create a shield, and has anyone seen The Avengers?
Yeah.
So the Avengers, they have an organization called SHIELD. So, and SHIELD, I don't know what it stands for.
Homeland, like
intellectual
Something.
some fancy organization. But Mark and the pastoral team in SEP were able to give acronyms. So S stood for sacrifice, H stood for humility, I for identity, E for endurance, L for love/lust, and D for discipline. So it was talking about that we need to take on these characters to be men of faith, men of God. And it was quite interesting. We had a guest speaker. His name is Ryan. He's from the Armed Forces, Marines, and he was able to share what he had to say. He pretty much what I took out of it was that we live in a very difficult society and culture where we are bombarded with things that will bring us down, things that will lead us away from God. And he was encouraging the boys to really run up this uphill battle, to really push on this where you have the fiery darts being thrown at you, and he was encouraging us to just really push on and really, what was the term? War dogs. They said we shouldn't be passive people. We're war boys. It's war dogs. So you hit the ground running and just push against the evil one. So that's what I really appreciated out of camp. Really talked about, especially me going into my new season of life with Melinda, spoke a lot to me. So thank you.
Sorry if I stumble because I'm really nervous right now. First of all, I'd like to thank NewLife Fellowship for giving me a scholarship to experience an amazing camp. I learned a lot of characters of a hero, and that hero was God. He died for us and saved us. My favorite activity was team building. Yeah. By the sound of the name, I am basically building up trust within my teammates. At first we were tired when we got there, but then we skipped some games, and there was this game that was really fun. I have no idea what it's called. Since there were 7 of us, each of us got a sticker. We couldn't tell anyone what our number was until the game started. When it started, we tried to put each other in order. You probably thought it was easy, but it wasn't. We were blindfolded and we couldn't speak. 2 of our senses were gone, and all we had was touch, smell, and taste. And since taste and smell didn't really work that much, we only had touch. Some of us tapped each other and some pointed fingers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so it was hard for everyone, but everyone kept on moving while I was just tripping on rocks, bumping into trees, and into water jugs. I couldn't stop laughing because I don't know, I just thought it was funny. Surprisingly, we got into order after like 10 minutes, which is really long. I encourage you guys to come to SEP and learn about God and have fun.
Good afternoon. Hey, Robbie and Melinda, can I borrow you for a second? Just for a demonstration. Demonstration, please. And Everyone give them a hand for getting there in 1 week. So my job at SEP, I was an assistant counselor for some kids, and I loved them so much. And for
Sorry, I was acting.
oh no, but you know, for 8 to 12-year-olds, and they were so much fun, and some of them go through so much, and they just need so many prayers. And thank you for the prayers that you have been giving. But my other activity, I led an activity, senior dance and swing dance. So this is why you're up here. Can you show them what swing dancing looks like? Let's go ahead. This is what swing dancing looks like, and it's very intricate, and there's a lot of different things going on between it, and it looks very beautiful, right? Now, the thing about swing dancing is the guy leads, and if the girl tries to lead, things don't really work out anymore. Yeah, so Sierra, you guys remember Sierra, she helped me, she was my co-leader, and at the beginning of every class, she would have a teachable moment, and she would ask the question first, has anyone ever experienced a disappointment? Has anyone ever wanted to do something with their life and it just doesn't work out, or you want to get married, but it's, like Sierra was giving the example, I want to be married right now, but I'm single. That's what Sierra was saying, and I mean, she said, who has experienced disappointment? And everyone raises their hands. And that's when she says that things aren't always in our control, and we need to let God be the leader, just as the guy in this dance of swing is the leader of this dance. We need to be the girl and just follow. And one time, I think it was towards the end of the week, I was trying to learn some more swing moves, and John too, but Robbie had some swing moves in his head, so I was trying to learn them. Melinda, you can sit. Thank you, Melinda. Everyone give her a hand. I wanted to learn how to dance from Robbie, but in order to dance, he has to show me how to dance. So I had to step into the position of the girl. I said, Robbie, teach me a new dance move. So he's trying to teach me a new dance move, but I've been so used to leading the dance because I've been teaching classes this whole week, and I'm trying to do this, but no, I want you to turn, and things aren't working. And then Robbie stopped me, and he held me by the head, and he looked me in the eyes, and he told me, David, trust me, follow my lead. And I just closed my eyes, and then he led me, and then he taught me all these new moves that I'd never done before. Yes. And as Robbie told me that, I also heard the voice of God saying, trust me. Just listen to me. Maybe you have these things that you want to do, but don't worry about it. I have a plan for you. And I have all these things that I want you to do, and just listen to me and do what I want you to do. And so sometimes we go through life and we go through all these classes, and maybe we fail a class, or we go through life and we want to get married, but we're not getting married for some reason. But God has a plan, and God's leading us. And Sierra was talking about how sometimes the guy wants to do all these crazy turns, and the girl wants to relax. But if the guy wants to lead you, then you follow. And sometimes the girl, say you're the girl, and you, I can't wait to do swing dancing. I want to do all the crazy moves that I just learned. But the guy's, he doesn't really know how to dance, so he wants to keep it simple. The girl needs to just follow and let the guy lead. And just as that is, we need to follow God's lead and step with him. And when he raises his arm, we twirl underneath it. And as he lifts both arms, we can slide out. So that's really the lesson that I learned. And we just need to listen to our Lord and really see what he wants us to do, because his plan is the best plan. Not what we want, but what God wants. So that's what I learned at SEP. So thank you, everyone.
Usually people will talk about this on SEP Sunday, but no one has so far, so I will, in case you've forgotten it. But just what I want to talk about is kind of just the love you experience at SEP. It's such a unique environment where just everybody comes, and even if they come from the most broken homes or whatever their background is, it's just this environment where everybody is there to support them. And you can see it at, one night, every year we have, Thursday night, we have the variety show. We don't call it a talent show because you don't have to have talent. It's the variety show. And it's just so encouraging to see that, because someone can go up and do something that might be a little cheesy, or might not be the best. Maybe they sing and it's not the not the best as someone else, but everyone just every time half the camp will just stand up and just clap, and there's so much support and love in the air. Or like Wednesday night we have a dance. So David taught the dance class, and on Wednesday night we have a dance. There's a lot of swing songs, there's some salsa songs, and every so often there's like a free dance song. And what tends to happen is everybody gets in a big circle and different people jump in and they show their moves. And even if someone goes in the middle of the circle and does something ridiculous, everyone's like, yeah! And it's, in my dorm, I had a very quiet dorm this year. When we were debriefing chapels, there was barely any discussion. When me and my assistant counselor, I had another Australian as my assistant, Carissa, when we'd say, okay, who wants to pray tonight? Silence every single night. I should have done what Matt did, pray! So I had a very quiet dorm. So it was hard to know what they were getting out of things sometimes. We had the purity session like Robbie talked about, and even afterwards, that's usually the thing that sparks the most discussion, but my dorm was just kind of, it was hard to tell what they were learning. But no matter whether they were, listening to the chapel messages or listening to the purity session or whatever whatever they were getting out of it, I know that they felt the love there. They were getting along with others, and even one of the girls did, when they finally spoke, one of the girls talked about how she felt like it was almost like representing the kingdom of God here on earth. And I thought, you know what, even if they didn't listen at all in chapel, even if they fell asleep in the purity session, they experienced love here, and that's a great thing. So.
Anyone else? One thing I remember, yesterday Ann Stapleton was telling me, our director, that there are around 20 people who are actually from the foster homes that we invited. And they came. And he mentioned that there is this one particular girl, who is an atheist. She said, I don't believe in God at all, but I'll go to camp anyway. But the good story about it is that after camp, when they were picked up, somebody asked this lady, I thought you were an atheist. And she said, not now anymore. Now I believe in God, after the camp experience. So I thought that was a good story. In the midst of all the activities that we have, there's so many things that they learn at camp, but God is working through the hearts of people, where one person who doesn't believe in God now believes in God. Now they all went back to the foster homes, but we have those people now who at least heard the good news. And one person who now believes in God, and they're hoping to come back next time. So it's another great story. So do you have any more last, I asked Anthony to be the last one to speak. So we'll hear from Anthony. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Last chance, anyone want to go before me? I am good at adapting to how much time I have left. No? One last? Going once? Going twice? Okay. All right. So, there's a lot of things I could talk about at SEP this year, since this year was a very stretching experience for me because I was a lead counselor for the first time. And I was also leading the AV track. I had to teach it. And both of those things, because for the most part, I wasn't expecting to go to SEP this year. But for just how life events happened, I ended up going. And so I signed up like a week and a half or something before camp started. And then a week and a half, before camp and was like, Anthony, do you know how to use a soundboard? And I'm like, yeah, kinda. I know how to like do the basics. I know how to set it up. And she's like, can you run the AV track? I'm like, no, but I know you're stressed, so I will. And so I took on that. And then I found out, because I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, am I being with the junior boys? I hope not, because that's not my calling. You know, I'm just so appreciative for people like Holly who have a gift for kids, but I don't. I do not have that energy. I do not have that stamina. And so I'm better with senior boys. And so I was just praying, because I didn't know until like 3 days before what I was doing and who I was with. And so it ended up I was leading senior boys with this Aussie called Spud, who's not here today, but he's a really amazing guy. And so that's what I started with. And so I really had to I started the whole camp just with in a sense of humility, where it's like I do not know as much about teaching as Dr. Mike. I don't know as much about the science behind an audio board like Abel. And so I don't know how to lead a group of guys. And so I was just like, oh, what should I do this time? And so I just gave it up to God. And so, okay, I have a good amount of time where I can talk about a few things. And so I started off the week completely just looking forward to it. And now it sounds like it's going to be bad. It was good, so I don't leave anyone hanging. I started off the week just like really kind of anxious. I was just like, I don't know if I'm going to have what it takes to be a good leader. I don't know if I'm going to have the knowledge to be a good teacher. And so I was kind of like doubting myself, and I was not sure. And so this year, our theme, which I'm glad no one covered, because I'll cover it. It's on all our shirts. It says hero. And so Mark started the training as well as the camp off with talking about a hero. He said, well, what makes a hero? What makes a hero? I'm actually asking a question now. Anyone? What makes a hero? Anyone who doesn't know the actual answer? Yes, Sean.
Sacrifice.
Oh, yes. Good answer.
Courage.
Courage. Anyone else? Sacrifice. Supervision. Yeah, no. Power. Right. And so everyone was saying, oh, yes, you have a... Hope. Hope. Oh, wow, that was profound. That's a good one. Yes, hope. And so Mark started off the week by saying, okay, so what makes a hero? And most kids, most teenagers, whoever, wherever you're coming from, we've all, especially lately, there's been a lot of just an influx of superhero movies. And so everyone's like, oh yeah, you need superpowers. You need to be super strong. You need to be super fast. You need to be super smart. You need to be super rich like Batman. You need to be, you need to be this, this, and this. Or it's like you need to, you just need to have all these like outward abilities. And then Mark posed the question like, or rather he said, but villains have those too. Like Dr. Doom, if anyone knows who that is, or Magneto, he's a little bit more known, or Loki from like Thor. They all have powers. They're all strong. They all have a super strength, or they have some form of power. So what makes a hero different from a villain? And so what the crux of it was is their character. How they handle their powers, what they do with it. Their character is what defines them from a hero to a villain. And so we, the guys, had it more. I don't know about the girls for the purity session, but we focused on the acronym SHIELD, like Robbie was talking about, where sacrifice, humility, identity, endurance, love versus lust, and discipline. And the one I really liked a lot was humility, since I have my own. I've worked on it. I'm still proud. I can still be proud. I don't lie. I can still be arrogant. But humility, I was thinking about that one. That one stuck out to me, and that's the one when we were debriefing with my dorm. That's the one I focused around, because we're talking about being a hero in everyday life, what it looks like to be a hero. And they showed us this video where there's this guy in, where was it, New York, I think? Like a subway? It was New York, somewhere with subways. I think it was New York. And so there was this guy who saw this guy standing at a subway platform, and he started having a seizure. And he fell in front of the tracks. He fell on the tracks, and there wasn't enough time to like jump down and like pull him back up. And so what he did was, instinctively, he like jumped down and he flattened himself on him, and he was hoping that that little space between the subway and himself was enough. And they just made it, because the clearing was 22 inches and they were 20 and a half inches. And so he lived. And so he was celebrated as a hero. And he is. That was a very heroic thing to do. And so I was talking about it with my group, and one of my boys, Noah Albert, if anyone knows who the Alberts are, said something how like he was focusing on like kind of the reality of it, and so I spinned it into something positive. And he was saying how, yeah, that guy is a hero, but what he did will probably in like a few days be forgotten. And I was like, that's absolutely right. What he did will be forgotten. And then I started talking about what it means to be a hero for your friends, for your family. I was like, because most if not all of your life, you're not going to get the chance to save someone's life, literally, and like push them out of the way of a moving truck. And you're not going to get the chance to loan someone like all of your bank savings to help them out of a financial crisis. And you're not going to be able, or get the chance to maybe save someone from like a burning building. We're not going to get those chances, because most of life is pretty ordinary. Most of life is just doing normal things. Most of life isn't this like super like amazing thing. It's life. Especially as you get older, when you start working, you go through like your daily grind. Everyone who works knows that. You go to work and you come home, and it's nothing like super exciting, but it's life. And that's okay. And I was saying, so how could we be a hero in that then? Because we can't like run into work and like cause a fire and then put it out and be the hero. I was saying, no, being a hero in this instance, I was talking about humility, is being humble. It means talking with people. It means listening to someone when they're having a bad day. It means being there for someone when one of their relatives has died. It means sacrificing, putting yourself before, or putting them before your own needs, being humble. It means being willing to say, how can I help you? How can I serve you? How can I make you happy today? And so that segued also nicely into this other thing we did, which was talk about the love languages. And how many of you know what a love language is? A few people. So a love language is how we personally feel loved. And there are 5 major love languages, and that is physical touch, quality time, words of affirmation, acts of service, and gift giving. There you go. You got it. Thank you. That was the last one. Gift giving. And so we talked about each love language, and we all took a test about our love language so that we could better love each other. And so for me, my primary love language is quality time. I really feel loved and really like in tune with someone, whether it be a friend or a family member or anyone. I feel really just close to them when I can spend a long time just with them, or they express to me a desire to just hang out with just me. And that's just me. Everyone's different. Some people are physical touch. They feel really loved when people like give them hugs, when people rub their back, rub their feet, whatever. They feel really loved by that. We're all different. And that's necessary, because we need to know how we feel loved. Because if my lowest one is physical touch, some people are repelled by physical touch. Like they don't like it at all. They're like, don't touch me. That's you're too close. And so if someone's love language is quality time, their lowest is physical touch, mine is not the lowest physical touch. And you go up and you're just hugging them and you're trying to love them. You're just like, oh yeah, just hug me, yeah, oh. They're going to feel hurt. They're going to feel really awkward. They're just not going to like it. And so we learned how to love each other properly. And I really encourage everyone here to go online, and they have free tests everywhere, to figure out what your love language is. Because that's a way we can be a hero to someone. It's like if their love language is words of affirmation, when they get home from work, a parent or your spouse or a friend if you have a roommate or whatever, when they get home from work and they're just feeling low, and they had a bad day, their boss shouted at them, they messed up something, that is not the time to just nag at them, just be like, hey, the dishes aren't done, hey, do your homework, hey, do this. No, you should affirm them in their love language. You should give them words of affirmation. Just like, hey, I really appreciate you. I just love what you have been doing with just supporting me in my school and my work and whatever, and just love them. And that's the way you can be a hero in a small way, because we remember the people who are there consistently. The people who, when we think in our mind, like, who are the people who are really close to me? Who are the people who I can depend on? And it's the people who are there consistently, not the people who are just there during like the really, really big moments where it's like, oh, you were there for me when my mom died. It meant so much. But it's, you were there for me the 364 days of the year. Not the one day when she died, but the rest of the years when I was crying or when I was just mourning. And so being a hero means being there during the ordinary days, even if it's just boring, even if it doesn't feel like you're like saving a life, even if it doesn't feel like you're doing something so dramatic, because being a hero means being humble. It means not trying to do something for the attention, not trying to do something for the recognition, but you're doing it for them, not for yourself. And so that's the main theme that we followed this year, was being a hero. And of course, our hero is Jesus Christ, who is a perfect example of all of those, of sacrifice, of humility, of identity, of endurance, of love, and of discipline. So this year was just really great. It was really great because my dorm we bonded and we were really tight, and I just loved my group, and I just thank you all for supporting me, for your prayers, because if you come and talk to me later, I can give you countless instances where I'm like, oh, that did not happen just because the universe wanted it to happen. No, that was a direct prayer being answered. So thank you all, and yes, thank you.
And so I just want to share with you, this camp, this probably was my 9th time at SEP, and it was my first time being a dorm parent, but I applied to be a counselor, but I think that I guess God wanted me to have some other experiences. What was really beautiful is just to see and experience and feel the unity that was there at camp. It was amazing. I mean, I could feel the power of God through the love that everybody had at SEP. It was just amazing. From the Saturday that we actually had our training, it was just, I couldn't believe it. I could just, you could feel, there's just something there when, you know, people come together for a purpose. And when God is in the center of what is happening, there's just some things that just happen. And I found myself, because what I find is I guess I'm somewhat of a compassionate person. So I found myself crying several different times when I didn't even plan to cry. But tears would flow because I could see the Holy Spirit working in people, and I could see changes going on throughout camp. And I want to share a little story. There was this little kid, he was about probably 8 years old. He was in junior camp. And I was at lunch with all the rest of the staff, the faculty, and all the kids. And I had finished eating, and I got up to take my plate, and as I was walking, this little kid came up to me, this little boy, and he said, can I take your plate? Can I just take it, everything? And I just like, I almost broke, because it's just so beautiful to see that. And I was like, the Spirit of God just working so powerfully. Never, I mean, I've been to many SEP camps, and I've never seen this kind of a spirit, but a lot of the junior campers were doing this kind of thing. They were showing love. They were showing kindness. It was just, I mean, just the whole spirit at camp. It was just powerful. And I came to camp. I said, Lord, put a fire in me. Put a fire in my bosom, because I want to come back on fire for you. And I really felt like God answered my prayer. You know, he was there throughout the whole camp, and he helped me through everything. And I kind of felt like Holly. There was a calmness. I wasn't, you know, I didn't find myself nervous about things, even though I'd done some things for the first time. I'd never been a dorm parent before, but I didn't find myself nervous. I just found myself like talking to people, trusting them, sharing some things. It was beautiful, and I can't encourage anyone enough. I mean, you want to go to camp for 1 week, it is more than worth it. It is more than worth it. It's almost like when you want to stretch, or you want to be stretched, or you want to know God. You know, we say we love God and we say we want to be part of what God is doing. Then do something you haven't done before, you know. And, you know, take a week off, sacrifice, and come to SEP. I mean, here we are in this big valley, beautiful trees, and then we're all together, we're eating meals together, we're communing together, we're having praise and worship in the morning, and it's just like, you know, to me, the word for SEP this year was overcome. Overcoming, overcome. And we had messages, you know, and we had songs, you know, about a song called Overcome. We'll overcome by the blood of the Lamb, and, you know, and by our testimony. And what is our testimony? Our testimony is what God has done to us, to move us to share the message of Jesus Christ. We're sharing how we're experiencing Jesus Christ in our being there, or whatever the experience that you have. And for me, that is exactly what camp was. It was just like, it was powerful. So I just want to share a couple little things with you that happened with me. I was a dorm parent, but I was also team building leader. And also, I also did part of a track called Discover Your Strengths. And I just wanted to show you, actually, Robbie was talking about it, and I'm just showing you what the young people did. I had to do this real fast. I couldn't make it fancy, but here's the shield, you know, the shield of faith, you know. And you know, one thing that I thought was really beautiful was, and I'm just describing a situation, Mark and Ann, they did their renewal vows at camp. They've been married for 25 years. They did a real ceremonial renewal vows. And so we were standing there, you know, I had my shield right here, and I had my sword like this, and then we just went up, and we did that, and I mean, everybody's walking by, and it's just like, and I'm watching, and the Holy Spirit just like working. And I'm seeing while I'm inside the tent, I'm looking across, and I'm looking at some of the girls, and there's tears in their eyes, because they haven't seen real leadership. They haven't seen, you know, people be courageous and show strength and power and might. And so these young people, young campers, well actually it's the senior campers, they're all out there, they're doing what they're supposed to do, and it's showing faithfulness to God, showing that marriage, someone married for 25 years, faithfully, keeping that covenant that they have agreed to. I cannot describe to you what this camp was like. It was the best camp. And like I said, this was my 9th camp. It was the absolute best camp. But you know what? I think that as we serve God and as we want to honor Him, He will honor us. Because, you see, He covers us with His grace. He covers us completely with His grace. So as we just learn to serve and honor Him, that grace is complete. He fills us. But you know what? Grace is on you even if you don't honor God. His grace is there. It is just there, just waiting for us to let myself go so that I can be used by you, Lord. You know, and I was just like, I thank God that I was there, and we had some really powerful prayer sessions. Even just the men were praying after. You know, we get together and we pray, and it's just like, speaking, Lord, speak, Holy Spirit, speak. Powerful, amazing. And I am so glad I was there. And you know what? For some, it's not going to be easy. For me, this year was really hard. Okay, tell me I had the money to go to SEP or to take the time off. Trust me, didn't have the money. But you know what? It was worth it. It was worth every single moment that I was there. So I thank God for what He has done. I'm going to transition now to the communion service. We're running out of time.